Yeah, so we're talking about money.
Thank you, Gigi. You switched on, are you?
Yeah.
Cool. Listen to this, everybody.
Right, so here's the plan, right? We've travelled all over Ireland, everywhere, every last little square millimetre of the central place. And we have a plan. And we're all going to meet up wherever we happen to be with each other, not like too much all together all at once, so no one really. And we'll be like, this is really a secret, it's really good. And yeah, we'll resurrect our souls, and then we'll talk to all our friends, and so no one can know who I am. Except the people who already know who I am. But no one who doesn't know me will know who I am. Will you? Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying,
About money.
yeah. So you
For
were saying you
example-
could make,
for
you'd have to
example-
go out and make money.
For example, this thing here is like a 2.5 hour long documentary film.
Yes.
That's even more than just a documentary film.
Okay.
It's a program. It's got loads of programming involved, and it does things that films and documentaries don't usually do.
Right.
But it didn't cost a single penny to make it.
Right.
And that's just an example of what I'm about to say in terms of a philosophy. But there's a fulfillment of a philosophy, something that's quite cutting edge, and it costs nothing to make.
Except for the computer?
Didn't cost me anything.
Okay. Got it.
Somebody made it, and a shop released it, and that was all above board. Nobody ran after me in the shop saying that wasn't right.
Okay.
But you know me, man, you don't see me going off labouring to
No.
go and get money, or distracting myself from what I would otherwise be doing by chasing after just money. And that's the point that I'm talking about. If I decide that I need money in order to live, to eat, to have shelter, for all my primary needs, if I decide that to pay my water rates and my council rates and my council tax, and my income tax, and whatever carbon tax and everything else there might be, I don't know how many taxes there are, I don't pay any of them. But if I decided I needed money, I'd have to go outside of myself and make it, apparently. And to make it, my first port of call is generally to go to somebody who has a job and ask them for a job and say, I'll do what you want for money. Because then I'll have money and I'll think about it for a while and I'll pay all my debts and I'll think about it a bit deeper and I'll go self-employed after a while so I don't have to have a boss. Unless he's a really nice boss, and I might just get really comfortable with him, and that's it, sorted for the rest of my life. Think a little bit beyond like your creature comforts of just paying the expenses of you being alive. Whoever your boss is has got to be making a profit out of you in order to pay you a bit and still make his profit. So however much money you're making, he's got to be making money on top of that. So not only are you making money yourself, but you're making more money than the money you're making for yourself. You're making more money. But all the things you're doing for money are generally going to involve some sort of material earth substance that's been turned into a commodity. So by distracting yourself from what your heart would otherwise have you doing about your love of the environment and the way nothing's really working so far, about your love of your country and your brethren, and how members of your family are getting arrested or dying in hospitals when they shouldn't, or committing suicide over things that weren't real to do with like materialism or whatever, instead of being distracted from all these things because you have to go to work, you'd be sorting them things out. You'd be spending the time with anyone who needed it, really, who you cared and loved. They'd come into your heart, you'd feel they needed your help and a bit of conversation to release something between the two of you. You'd have that bit of a chat, you'd be better friends than ever, you'd carry on to the next heart thing and release some more stuff. And all the way along you'd integrate your life experiences and you'd have great integrity. You'd have self-worth. You'd express that in your artistic nature. And that would be something that you'd give people presents and they'd take care of you and all that thing. And that was how we started out with barter in the first place. So again, the study of law is how did it get to be the way it is? And people point out money pretty fast. Okay. Money's the root of all evil? No. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil? No. It's the lack of love that's the root of all evil. Isn't it? And love backwards. That's the implementation of evil. To do something other than what love would have you do. That's what evil is. That's why it's everywhere. Does that make sense?
And for those people watching, press the blue button if you think that makes sense on your screen now, and press the green button if you think it does not make sense. And just to let you know, viewers, I now have the results of the votes as they come in. We have 63% of viewers said it makes sense, and just 30% of viewers say it doesn't make sense. 7% of viewers have written in text saying things like, we really don't give a toss.
Really, Danny. I won't give up. It's not worth doing this, is it? To make an exhibit out of my case about something that's a much bigger picture.
Anyway, we're talking about, this guy, is his name Kavanaugh, who was...
Can't we pass that back and forth?
What's that? Yeah, we could do.
Pass it back and forth.
We're talking about Kavanaugh and this guy who was outed, who was an undercover police officer, got paid to infiltrate activist movements. Yeah.
Targets.
What do you mean by targets?
That's what the newspaper called it. They called the victims of sleeping with this undercover agent. But they referred to the women he'd slept with, who were environmentalists and all that kind of thing. They referred to them in the newspapers, in the reports, as targets.
Right, okay.
Not as women.
Right. So, share with us a little bit what you were saying about that.
What was I saying again? Because you'd have to remind me.
You
You'd have to remind me.
You were saying that that idea being put out into the media.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's always a question, isn't it, when the Guardian, for example, takes on some sort of story, it knows its owners and wherever this information comes from, they know that the type of people that read the Guardian are going to be affected by it, right? And it's going to make, in this case, for example, it's going to make them feel angry, and it's going to make them feel frightened and suspicious of the people around them,
Yeah.
right? Which begs the question: why have you chosen to come out, so to speak, at this time when there are possibly an unknown number of agents working undercover, and when you have this meeting on Thursday, they're bound, surely one, if not more, are bound to turn up.
Mm. Yeah. The thing I was saying to you that was interesting about the WikiLeaks, about there being infiltrators everywhere, is that what I've noticed is that WikiLeaks just kind of announces that all the news is these days is the government announcing little leaks about what it's really doing all the time. So those little leaks that we call news headlines and page-long articles in newspapers are just explanations of what the government has been doing all along, and how this kind of false dichotomy has been set up, where the people must be infiltrated by paid experts so that the state can find out what the people are planning to do. So what that leak actually says is that you people are all now complicit in agreeing with us that there are extremist environmentalists, and that we, the state, we, society, we must invade these exclusive environmentalists, or any other ists, Christian ists, otherwise known as Christs. They must be invaded by a secret service, an SS, a secret society. Asses, agents of secret societies. And we're told these people are pretty well taken care of for living a double life, for being deeply embedded among their target population. And they're embedded with these people, but officially they're not supposed to sleep with any of them, either male or female. But of course, with human nature, the state allows that occasionally these things might happen behind closed doors, according to the experts who studied all this from a health and safety perspective to make sure there's no possible potential that the rules might not be the best rules and the right rules. I hope you appreciate how pointless the point of that statement was. So, of course, it's a free hand to sleep with as many targets in the target population as you can, because that's a damn fine way of finding things out, man. We've all seen James Bond. That's how you do it. If you're good at infiltrating target populations up to the highest rank in their secret order of their hierarchy of leaders among their anarchic principles, and all these other istic inverted commas in printed word, sometimes quite often now written off cue cards to the radio or to the television screen. But still, it's all printed word stuff. It's all spells. So when they released a spell that says, "Hey, we've infiltrated all of you people to pieces, and it's official, we're so far inside of you people, we've cut ourselves at it. It's looking up your own ass, agent of secret society." But the effect on all of us people is, shit man, do I recognise him? Have I seen him around? Has he seen me? Do friends of mine know him? Friends of mine had him around their houses? Have I been around at somebody's house while he's been there and said things